My name is Nick Smart, and I work with Strong Law. My client was a 21-year-old man. He was a manual laborer. He had worked several manual labor jobs. On the day of the incident, my client was working outside of their facility. They had been sandblasting some large pipes that were to be used for a water park. As part of the process, they had to move these large pipes, some of which were 12 to 16 feet and weighed over 1,000 pounds. And he was out there essentially as a spotter to the forklift operator. What was very clear from the very beginning was that a load had fallen off of a forklift and had fallen directly onto our client's foot and resulted in a partial amputation. The issues raised by defense in this case were numerous. One of their primary defenses was to blame the equipment owner, the employer, saying that they hadn't properly maintained their equipment, that they had had the equipment in their possession for 3 weeks since they had done any work on it at all, and so it couldn't be their fault. We were able to talk to the forklift driver. He was a longtime employee and had seen the equipment maintenance company at the facility doing work on the subject forklift. In fact, he had even told them that they had previously had an issue with the side shift carriage coming off of the machine. And so once we got some of the witness statements, we had the physical evidence of the forklift, we had the physical evidence of the forks and side shifter carriage that had come off the machine. We were able to get those things to our expert and start piecing this together. It was very hard to visualize all of the various issues. You had a warped carriage, you had a wear plate that was missing, you had bolts that were loose. Any of those things in and of themselves, standing alone, fairly easy to understand with a still photo. The issue became once they all came together and all of those things were happening at the same time, being able to demonstrate that to a jury, I knew would be a really difficult task. And so that's when I realized if we had this all animated, it would make it crystal clear as to how this happened and why it happened. Leading up to mediation, we were very close to trial. And so it was a case where, given the timing, it was either going to settle at the mediation or it was going to get tried. We had the animation, we had the explanation, we had the experts. We felt confident in how the case had been worked up. And so we felt reasonably confident whether or not the case settled at mediation or we had to go forward at trial, that we were going to be able to put our client in a good spot. The outcome of the case was a high 7-figure settlement. It wasn't really until we started seeing the animation come together and seeing all of the different nuances and issues that were in the case that I realized how much I needed the animation.